Moving right along here on Kansas Sports Chatter as we bring in our next guest, and that's going to be Justin Heeke, the head coach of the Spearville boys basketball team. Coach, appreciate your time. Man, busy time of the year, at least at the recording of this one, right in the thick of your sub-states. But like we were just talking about, like your sub-state's loaded. Like, I mean, you know that going into it, but what's that experience like just knowing that, I mean, like every team seems like they have a chance to win it?
Well, you're right. What we talked about before this is basically our league tournament rebooted. And every team does have a chance to move on and potentially do some damage at the state level. If you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. And, I always tell the boys, how to eat an elephant, one bite at a time. We'll take it one game at a time and try to be up and excited for every game and treat it as its own. And, we'll see what happens from there.
I mean, the old phrase of "it is what it is," but like, would you rather, like, especially when you get to the postseason, like, just play somebody completely different, maybe someone a little bit further away, rather than see someone like you said, like your league tournament?
Well, there's a lot of ways I can answer this question. It's funny because they redid the way they do playoffs, and I think in an attempt to try to make it better, what they've managed to do, I feel like, is get a lot of the really good teams all into one sub-state. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, we would be willing to travel to get, the best 8 teams to state. Fortunately for us, we played Greeley, and we do not play them during the regular season, so it is a little bit different. We did play them this summer, actually, so there's some familiarity there, which I think will be helpful. But yeah, it would be nice to play somebody that you haven't played 3 times. But again, like you said, it is what it is.
Well, you always hear, travel and, especially at the high school level being like one of those big reasons what they're trying to get away from, and keeping things close. And I get that. But do you feel like that is a huge factor even nowadays, no matter what the sport is, whether it's football, whether it's basketball or anything like that, it's like that travel is a huge issue for school districts?
Yeah. I mean, to be clear, I would travel as far as we needed to. And I know every coach feels the same way. If they would, I think the 6A models, they split it in half and, they play it, seed it out and play it that way. But I do think it is, especially for smaller school districts. I think it is a factor. Now, I don't know the administrative side of it, how the money works out, but they say that's what it is. And I also think officials is a part of it. But I think that, if we really wanted to get it right, I do think they would let us travel and trying to find a way to make it work. But here we are.
For you, I mean, you look at the season so far, and just a remarkable season, but so many close games. Like, I think 4 of your 5 losses have been by 6 points or less. Like what's it been like just being in so many intense games?
Well, first of all, it's been fun. The season's long, and we tried to go out and schedule some games that were going to be fun, that were going to be competitive, and make us better for now. We did play Dodge early on, and that was a lot of fun because I used to work there, and they kind of put it on us in the second half. We played them tough in the first, but it's been good for us. And, learning how to manage moments and win games. After one of our games, one of our kids said, we got to learn how to win. And that is a skill that you have to practice. And the closer you play these games, the more you get to practice it. And probably, one of our losses was at Meade this year, and that was kind of a seminal moment for us where we kind of turned a corner a little bit just in terms of being able to manage those moments and learn how to win and make the right plays at the right time. So yeah, we've had a great schedule and a great season and a lot of fun moments that hopefully will culminate in some good basketball here at the end of the year.
You mentioned that Dodge City matchup. I always thought it'd be cool. Like, I feel like basketball, at least sometimes, and with some teams, like it's like the one sports that, it's kind of an equalizer for basketball. Like you could have really good talent in the small town school, going up against the big town. And I love seeing some of those, 2A, 1A matchups against 5A, 6A matchups. Now in Western Kansas, I feel like, Dodge City would be that one of those obvious choices. You kind of like some of those matchups, just kind of seeing some of the upper class schools.
Oh, it was great. So here's kind of a backstory to it too. I told you off air, I used to work in Dodge, coached and taught at Comanche Middle School for 11 years. And the majority of the kids that we were playing against were kids that I coached. And, to your point about being an equalizer, absolutely in basketball, if you got 5 good kids, you know, you can compete against pretty much anybody's 5 good kids. Now, where Dodge got us in the second half was depth, you know, and that's the difference. Is at a 1A school, you might have 5 or 6 good kids. At a 6A school, they got about 10 kids that are all right there, and they're competing for minutes every day in practice, and they can roll those kids off the bench, and that's kind of what they did. They wore us out. But it was a lot of fun, and there were a lot of schools that showed up for that game. A lot of SPIA schools, you know, SPIA loves each other. We support each other. So it was a really fun environment, and maybe potentially kind of cracked a can open maybe for other schools to try to go out and play Dodge and some of these bigger schools too. So
for you, you mentioned, you know, starting out there in Dodge City and coaching at the middle school level. I know you're from Spearville, but what excited you about the opportunity to start coaching the Lancers?
So I don't know how deep you want to go with this, but
as deep as you want, go ahead.
Okay. So, you know, I was very happy where I was. I loved what I did. I coached girls and boys basketball, volleyball, and I ended up coaching soccer. I didn't know a whole lot about it, but my AD, you know, wanted the, you know, coaching side of it. But anyway, there's moments that you just kind of remember. And I never forget, I was coaching a pretty decent girls team. We were in Hayes. Hayes is always good at everything. They were one middle school, and they thumped on us. And I went outside after the game, and I just thought to myself, what am I doing here? Why am I getting so frustrated and mad about middle school basketball? And it was kind of in that moment where I was like, all right, either I need to, you know, settle down a little bit on this, or I need to go up a level. And when this opportunity came up, my AD and one of the principals here now, Justin Briggs and April Ball, are the first two that came to me and said, hey, this is a great opportunity. You should look at this. And I will be forever indebted to those two for that, because with me leaving Comanche, there was 4 coaching spots that Briggs had to fill. And it seemed like the time I'm coaching kids that I went to school with their parents, and It seemed like the next step. And it was a good one so far. I've loved it.
So you mentioned the competitive side of things, you know, going from the middle school to the high school ranks. Like anything else that, you know, you kind of had to adjust or just change, I guess, once you got to coaching at Spearville?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things. First of all, when you're coaching a little bit of everything, you know, when I took this job, I said, I'm only going to coach basketball. I'm going to do less. I'm going to do it better. So when you're coaching volleyball and basketball and soccer, you spend a lot of time doing a lot of things. You know, talent development is one of my favorite things in the world. Read a lot of books on that. But sometimes you got to dig into the X's and O's a little bit. And not only that, you know, basketball season is long. You know, right now we are at 5 months, and that's coming off, you know, spring. It's like year round. And that's probably the biggest difference is at the middle school level, you start over every 2 years with a new group. It's only 2 months long. It's not too painful. But it's a slog right now, and you really have to be able to keep your kids together and manage, you know, their time the right way so they don't get burnt out and lose interest at the wrong time. So that's probably the biggest piece of it. Really digging out on the details and then managing the length of the season. So.
Justin Heeke joining us here, head coach of the Spearville boys basketball team. All right, so you talk about soccer. Like, how much did you learn about the sports? Do you feel like you're an expert now in soccer?
I don't know if I'm an expert, but I will say this. When you do it, so you watch soccer, I have a cousin that calls it organized keep away. I think it's hilarious. A really good friend of mine who is coach at Dodge High, he's one of the assistants, and we talk about it a lot. And the game of soccer in the world is just fun. You know, like, World Cup's coming around, and there's just an energy, and people just love it. But when you watch it, you just assume that each touch doesn't matter. But when you get in there, you realize that if a kid, and maybe I say this the right way, but if you mess up one pass, it can affect the 10 passes before that, you know, ruin a good run at the goal. So it was fun for me to learn that stuff. Now, do I know enough about it to be a great coach at it? No, I sure don't. But it was fun to do it. And I did learn, you know, there's some similarities. You know, they talk about European basketball is modeled a little bit after soccer. It's a little more free-flowing, and they chase space. And the American game is potentially patterned after football. There's a lot more set plays. So I think, you know, if you can take those philosophies and kind of put them together, It's kind of what I'm after, here at Spearville, but chasing space and trying not to dictate everything, I think was a good thing that I learned coaching soccer. So
Switching back to the hard courts, able to win, your league tournaments earlier this semester, there in Dodge City. Like, how special is that to know it's been a little bit for Spearville, and then just the confidence that that's got to bring to win that type of a league?
Cole, that was awesome. It was definitely one of the coolest things I've been a part of. That tournament is so cool. They run it so well. Our league does such a great job with that. And our run, I'm sure you've seen that. We were a 6 seed. We had to play a play-in game because our league is so tough. And then we had to go 3 seed South Gray, 2 seed Meade, 1 seed South Central. So, man, it was, you look back on it, and that's the thing too. You win it, and then we had a game on Monday, so we didn't have a whole lot of time to focus on it. But at the end of the year, and you kind of get away from it a little bit, you think, man, that was really something. But yeah, it was amazing. It was fun to be a part of. What a great tournament and a great night.
All right, last question for you. Like Spearville, along the highway coming in, they still have that big sign, right, that says "Welcome to Spearville, home of the Lancers and the windmills." Okay,
yeah,
okay, so that's still there. Especially being a Spearville guy, how much motivation is there to add, one of those state championship little blocks on the bottom?
Cole, maybe you do have an idea, but you have no idea, right? And here's the thing too: Spearville boys basketball has never won a state championship. We will get it done. We will. Absolutely. I see that every day on my way to work because I live in Dodge. I drive over every day. It's absolutely a huge motivator. I'm glad you brought that up because it's a cool sign. We've got a lot of girls' state championships, not boys yet.
All right. One of these days. Hey, Coach, appreciate the time.
Of course. Thank you, Cole. It's been fun.
That is Justin Heeke, the head coach of the Spearville boys basketball team. We'll have more of the show right after this.